The internet has seen them before. Loud kids screaming into microphones, craving attention, burning out faster than they rose. But somehow, one of them survived. He didn't just survive, he conquered.
Right, and I think
He defied the corporations, broke the algorithm, hijacked culture itself. In a world engineered for obedience, he chose chaos, and chaos chose him back. This is the story of IShowSpeed, the kid who wasn't supposed to make it, the legend the internet couldn't kill, the boy who changed the future of streaming forever.
Hi, I'm Scandalize, and I uncover the stories they don't want you to hear. The rise, the fall, the lies, the leaks, and the power behind the curtain. Because every legend has a dark side, and I'm here to show it to you.
It's 2019, in a cluttered bedroom somewhere in Cincinnati, Ohio. A kid streams to no one. For months, IShowSpeed was invisible. 0 viewers, 0 donations, 0 clout. Most would have quit. Most did. But something inside Speed refused to die. Most early streamers faked it, pretended to be happy, played the role of content creator. Speed didn't. He screamed, he cried, he threw controllers across the room. The pain was real. The frustration was raw. Even with no audience watching, Speed performed like the world was judging him. Then, by accident, lightning struck. A random TikTok editor clipped a few seconds of Speed raging on Omegle. 30 seconds of chaos, uploaded, forgotten, until it wasn't. Within days, millions watched. They didn't know his name, but they knew the energy. Speed didn't understand it at first. Why now? Why this? But deep inside, a new rule was forming. Emotion equals sign, virality. And no one, not a single influencer, could out-emote Speed. Speed saw the numbers climb, and he adapted. Not by becoming polished, but by becoming more extreme. The louder he screamed, the more they clicked. The more absurd he acted, the faster he spread. Most creators polished their brands. Speed set his on fire. Within months, Speed wasn't just another streamer. He became an ecosystem. Thousands of editors clipping his streams, millions of users resharing his chaos. Speed didn't ask the internet for permission. He broke down the walls and dragged the world into his universe. By late 2020, Speed had learned an uncomfortable truth. The internet didn't want skill. The internet didn't want polish. The internet wanted emotion. It wanted chaos. It wanted meltdowns. It wanted fireworks, screams, absurdity. And IShowSpeed was a machine built for chaos. The more Speed screamed, the more the audience laughed. The more he raged, the more they clipped. It became a feedback loop. Chaos, laughter, virality, more chaos. Other streamers tried to ignore it. Some tried to copy it, but nobody could outspeed Speed. In early 2021, something shifted. Speed stopped being just a creator. He became a meme. His face, his rage, his screams, they detached from his streams and took on a life of their own. Speed was no longer just a person. He was an emotion. Most people would fight it, try to regain control, try to remind the world they were serious creators, not Speed. He embraced the chaos. If they wanted a madman, he gave them a firestorm. Setting fireworks off indoors, barking at strangers, twerking midstream, setting himself on fire, almost literally. Each new low became a new high. Each new disaster became a new clip. Speed was no longer playing the game. He was redefining it. But memes come at a cost. As Speed spiraled higher, the pressure grew heavier. Fans expected him to rage, expected him to melt down, expected him to self-destruct nightly. Speed wasn't just fighting the algorithm anymore, he was fighting himself. Because every time the camera turned on, he had to become louder, angrier, more insane. And somewhere inside, the real Darren Watkins Jr. was disappearing. By late 2021, a new divide had formed. There was Darren, the kid who loved football, cried during birthdays, cared deeply about his family. And there was Speed, the chaos engine that never stopped screaming. Speed wasn't lying to his audience. He was surviving them. Because when you realize the world only loves your extremes, you either become the monster they want, or you get forgotten. Speed adapted. He stopped reacting impulsively. He started weaponizing his rage, pretending to trip, screaming louder than necessary, staging accidents perfectly timed for TikTok clips. The chaos wasn't random anymore. It was engineered. because Speed understood the new law of the internet. Authenticity is valuable, but weaponized authenticity is unstoppable. May 2021, IShowSpeed gets banned from Twitch. The official reason? Sexually inappropriate behavior. The real reason? He made the system nervous. Speed wasn't a brand ambassador. He was volatility with a Wi-Fi connection. The platforms weren't built for people like him. They were built to protect advertisers, and chaos doesn't sell ad space. After Twitch, the dominoes fell. YouTube gave him his first strike. TikTok shadow banned his clips. Twitter users organized mass reporting campaigns. In the eyes of the platforms, Speed was no longer a creator. He was a virus to be quarantined. And they tried to cure him the only way they knew how. Bans, silencing, deplatforming. But they made a fatal mistake. They thought banning Speed would erase him. They didn't realize something terrifying had happened. Speed had already become decentralized. The clips couldn't be stopped. New pages uploaded faster than they could delete. Fans treated him like a movement, not a person. Every ban became a badge of honor. Every silencing attempt became a rally cry. But while the fans cheered, Speed was bleeding internally. The pressure to stay chaotic, the fear of being erased, the paranoia of losing it all overnight. Beneath the screaming, beneath the memes, was a teenager slowly collapsing under the weight of expectation. Because Speed wasn't just fighting for clout anymore. He was fighting to exist. And then, Speed adapted. He realized something powerful. If the system punishes you, turn the punishment into entertainment. He started mocking his own bans, making skits out of being deplatformed, celebrating suspensions like trophies. The corporations tried to shame him. He turned it into fuel. Every ban became marketing. Every suspension became legend. By late 2022, Speed wasn't just a meme. He was a symbol, a rebellion against sanitized internet culture, a middle finger to brand-safe streaming. Speed represented something primal, the right to be messy, the right to be imperfect, the right to be human, even if it's ugly. And for millions of young fans drowning in curated influencer fake perfection, Speed was the only thing that still felt real. On the internet, death comes fast. One mistake, one scandal, one misstep, and your followers vanish overnight. Creators are disposable, replaced faster than they can apologize. It's the rule every influencer fears. Mess up once, and you're gone. By 2022, IShowSpeed had violated every unspoken rule of the internet. He screamed, he offended, he got banned, he became a PR nightmare. By all logic, he should have been erased, buried under the next viral sensation. But that's not what happened. Speed didn't just survive, he grew. The system tried to cancel Speed, but they forgot one thing. Speed wasn't selling perfection, he was selling imperfection. Other influencers build castles on flawless images. Speed built his empire on chaos, flaws, humanity. When you expect someone to be perfect, a mistake destroys them. But when you expect someone to be chaotic, a mistake only makes them more authentic. Speed's fans didn't abandon him after scandals. They loved him more. While other streamers built fan bases, Speed built something deeper. He built emotional loyalty. His fans didn't just like him, they felt him. Every scream, every breakdown, every absurd twerk, every awkward apology, fans saw themselves. Not the perfect version, the messy, human version. Speed wasn't a celebrity. He was them. Psychologists call it emotional anchoring. When you experience intense emotions with someone, your brain wires them to memory. Speed's streams weren't polished performances. They were roller coasters. Laughter shock, rage, sadness, euphoria, gratitude. Every emotional peak Speed created anchored him deeper inside his viewers' minds. He didn't just entertain people, he trauma bonded them. But loyalty is a double-edged sword. Speed wasn't just popular anymore. He was necessary. For millions of kids drowning in sanitized internet culture, Speed was oxygen. The pressure wasn't to succeed anymore. It was to survive, to never disappear, to never stop being the chaotic friend they needed. And the price of that loyalty was slowly crushing him. Speed didn't plan to conquer the world. He barely conquered his own stream settings. He wasn't multilingual. He wasn't marketable. He wasn't brand safe. But he was universal. Because chaos doesn't need subtitles. Most creators rely on words. Speed relied on emotion, frustration, rage, joy, sadness, the primal emotions that existed long before language. While polished creators scripted skits and captioned punchlines, Speed simply felt, and that raw emotion smashed through screens across Brazil, Japan, the UK, Mexico, China. In Brazil, Speed became a god. It started with a joke, screaming "Siu" during FIFA streams, mimicking Cristiano Ronaldo, but Brazil didn't hear mockery, they heard love. Speed's raw, childlike obsession with football mirrored their own. And overnight, Brazilian fans flooded his streams, teaching him Portuguese, sending him jerseys, declaring him an honorary Brazilian. He didn't speak the language, he spoke the spirit. In Japan, the story repeated. Speed butchered Japanese phrases, screamed confused anime references, got half the words wrong. And the Japanese internet? They loved it. Because Speed did what few Western influencers dared. He tried. No ego, no fake sophistication. Just raw, imperfect enthusiasm. And in a culture that respects sincerity, Speed's chaos became beautiful. In the UK, Speed completed his transformation, from viral meme to cultural phenomenon. Through collaborations with KSI, Sidemen, and streaming FIFA, Speed didn't just enter UK culture, he warped it around himself. Football fans began chanting his memes in real stadiums. Commentators referenced his chaos. He became part of the national meme language. One American teenager screaming on Twitch had infected the world's oldest sports culture. Other creators needed translators. Speed needed none. Because when your brand is raw emotion, every human understands you. Joy needs no subtitles. Anger needs no captions. Laughter needs no translator. Speed wasn't a streamer anymore. He was chaos made flesh. And the world couldn't get enough. The internet loves chaos. But there are places where chaos is not entertainment. It's offense. It's exile. It's career suicide. China, a culture rooted in discipline, history, and hierarchy. A system where one wrong joke doesn't get you canceled. It erases you. And in 2023, IShowSpeed, the living embodiment of chaos, decided to risk it all. At first, it looked like a disaster waiting to happen. Speed mispronounced names, screamed random Chinese words, barked at memes. Twitch chats flinched. Twitter threads began drafting their cancel posts. Was this the moment Speed finally went too far? But something unexpected happened. Speed didn't mock. He stumbled. He laughed. He apologized. He tried again. And the Chinese audience noticed. Speed wasn't mocking their culture. He was celebrating it. Badly, loudly, chaotically, but sincerely. Within weeks, Chinese fans did what no one expected. They adopted him. They flooded his comments with "gay gay," older brother. They edited memes in Mandarin. They laughed with him, not at him. Because Speed did what no Western influencer ever dared. He didn't posture. He didn't pander. He didn't fake humility. He showed raw, messy, joyful admiration. And, in a world used to being caricatured by the West, that sincerity was revolutionary. Speed didn't just survive China, he grew because of it. He realized something deeper. Chaos isn't disrespect. Chaos can be love, if it's honest. He wasn't a villain anymore. He was a bridge. A chaotic, barking, twerking bridge. But a bridge nonetheless. In the end, Speed didn't break the world apart with his madness. He glued it together. Not with diplomacy. Not with billion-dollar marketing campaigns. But with raw human emotion. With sincerity so chaotic it bypassed politics. And touched hearts directly. Fame isn't a gift. It's a drug. And the withdrawal can destroy you faster than obscurity ever could. In 2024, millions still watched IShowSpeed every day. But if you looked closely, you could see it. The cracks. Behind every exaggerated scream was a twitch of exhaustion. Behind every wild bark was a moment of dead silence. The mask was slipping, and underneath it was a kid struggling to survive his own creation. Speed's body was breaking down. Insomnia, panic attacks, public meltdowns caught live. The same chaos that made him immortal was eating him alive from the inside. Because chaos isn't free. It demands a toll. And Speed paid it with his health. Fame gives you followers, but it takes away friends. As Speed's legend grew, his world shrank. Old friends stopped calling. New friends only wanted collabs, clout, contracts. When the stream ended, the silence was deafening. Millions loved Speed the meme, but almost no one knew Darren, the boy. Worse than hate was indifference. Speed learned the internet's cruelest truth. If you're not entertaining every second, you're forgotten. One bad stream, one normal day, one quiet moment, dead channel, dead relevance, dead legend. The fans who once screamed, "Top G," would just as easily call him washed. Speed wasn't just fighting competitors anymore. He was fighting time itself. And time never loses. By early 2025, Speed faced the question every living meme eventually faces: evolve or implode, stay the chaotic clown forever, until his body and mind gave out, or find a new path, a new version of Speed, one that could survive. It wasn't an easy choice, it wasn't a clean one, but it was a necessary one. In early 2025, something strange happened. Speed streams changed. Less screaming, more talking, longer intros, fewer accidents staged for TikTok. The chaos wasn't gone, but it was controlled. It wasn't the same Speed, it was a Speed evolving. Speed knew he couldn't outscream time forever, so he did something few viral stars ever manage. He slowed down before the world forced him to. He shifted gears, focused more on gaming skill, talking about his real life, opening emotional doors he'd slammed shut for years. He stopped trying to be a meme and started trying to be a man. It was a gamble, because when you change, the internet doesn't always forgive. Some fans called him boring now. Some demanded the old Speed back, but others, they saw something better. They saw growth, evolution, a creator learning to survive the long game. Speed didn't just survive 2025. He started winning different battles. He began organizing charity streams. He started working with real sports brands, helping young creators grow, speaking about mental health publicly. The chaos wasn't gone. It had evolved into something bigger. By mid-2025, IShowSpeed had split into two identities: Speed, the chaotic king of the internet, and Darren, the young man rebuilding a legacy bigger than memes. Most creators die when they outgrow their first audience. Speed adapted, and by doing so, he became immortal. Before Speed, fame had a formula: polish your brand, build a niche, stay advertiser friendly, grow slowly, hope the algorithm blesses you. Millions tried, few succeeded. And then a teenager with a broken webcam and an unlimited supply of chaos shattered the blueprint. Speed didn't follow the rules. He rewrote them. He proved you didn't need polish. You didn't need PR agencies. You didn't need to be brand safe. You just needed to be real, loudly, messily, fearlessly real. He made chaos marketable. He made flaws profitable. He made sincerity go viral. First, he gave chaos permission to exist. He showed a generation it's okay to be loud, awkward, emotional. Second, he gave imperfection a home. He made mistakes public. He showed that failure isn't fatal. Third, he gave the forgotten kids a king. The awkward ones, the hyper ones, the misfits. They weren't outsiders anymore. They were Speed's army. Most internet stars fade away. Their fame gets swallowed by newer, louder faces. But Speed? Speed became a symbol, a chaotic, imperfect, unforgettable symbol. Not just of memes, of survival, of chaos weaponized for connection, of raw, unfiltered humanity in a world obsessed with fake perfection. Long after the memes stop, long after the trending pages forget, Speed's spirit will echo across every broken webcam, every rage-filled stream, every kid who thought they were too weird to matter, because he showed them. You don't have to fit the system, you can break it, and still win. In the end, Speed didn't just change streaming, he changed the entire idea of what a star could be. Not polished, not perfect, not brand safe, just human, loud, messy, real. He didn't escape chaos, he made chaos his crown. So when you think about IShowSpeed, don't just think about the barks. Don't just think about the memes. Think about what he represents. The freedom to be loud, the permission to be imperfect, the proof that even broken voices can shake the world. Because in a world obsessed with faking perfection, sometimes the loudest scream of all is simply being yourself.